AITA for not taking my daughters when my ex gave birth. My ex-wife, Emma, and my wife, Laura, were pregnant around the same time. Laura was about 10 weeks ahead of Emma. In November, Laura gave birth to our son a few days after his due date. 3 days after he and Laura came home, I received a panicked call from my SIL asking if I could take my daughters. 9F twins. As Emma had been taken to hospital the night before and was being taken for a C-section. Sil and my brother had taken the girls in overnight but weren't able to take them for long due to lack of space as they have 4 children themselves. Sil said that Emma was looking at a minimum of 5 days in hospital and then the baby would need to stay in hospital for a while. The baby came home just before Christmas. I told my SIL that we couldn't take the girls because we had just had our son and we were wanting to spend the time just bonding as a family of 3. SIL angrily told me that having my new son didn't cancel out the fact I already had 2 daughters. I apologized and told her that I couldn't take them in right now, but I would send her some money to help out while they have the girls. If we hadn't just brought him home, I would have taken the girls in, but Laura and I had already decided that we didn't want any guests for the first few weeks, and I had told Emma this. While Emma was in the hospital, the girls stayed with Sil and my brother another night before they went to stay with Emma's husband's parents, while the baby was in hospital. Because Emma and her husband were spending most of their time at the hospital, they were cared for a lot by Emma's in-laws or my Sil and brother. After a week or so, Laura and I offered to take the girls, but they told us they didn't want to stay because we were more focused on our son. It did feel like they were just parroting what they had heard from the adults around them. Though admittedly with the sleepless nights I did forget some things such as the video call with the girls. After the baby came home and everything settled down with Emma, she sent me a long email in the middle of the night explaining that she was disappointed in my actions and thought that I would see this as a medical emergency and I wouldn't need to be asked to take them in. I told her that we had just had son and I had to think about his needs as well, especially when there was plenty of people around them to care for them. Emma's told me that any communication is to now go through the lawyer because she's fed up of dealing with me and is going to take me to court to get full custody instead of 50-50. I didn't think it was unreasonable to not take them in given we had just had a baby. Laura wants me to fix it as we can't afford my child maintenance more than doubling if Emma gets full custody. AITA for not taking my daughters in? Edit. My Sil and brother live in a small 3-bedroom house. Having my daughters there as well meant that they were struggling more than usual for space. I don't blame them for trying for not being able to take them full time. They are saving up for a bigger house. Don't get me wrong. I love my daughters. I cherish the time I get with them. If I lost custody, I know Emma wouldn't allow me to get to see them. She had wanted full custody when we divorced, but I fought for 50-50. She was angry about the divorce. Info. If you and Laura have a second child together, will you send your son to stay somewhere else for a few weeks so you can bond as a family with the new baby? YTA, I couldn't even finish reading this. The words "taken the girls in" and "guests" did me in. They're your responsibility. Yours. Not SIL's. They're literally your children. So you can't take them in, because they literally belong to you. And they aren't guests because they literally share your DNA. I honestly can't believe you would pass up the time to have all 3 of your children bond together early. You know, your baby's literal sisters. Grow up. YTA. Your daughters are quite old enough to realize that your bonding as a family of 3 inches means they've lost status even if you didn't say those words to them. They get it. You proved it by not being there for them when they didn't have their mom. Edit to add. I was seeing so red that the last bit didn't register. You're apparently okay with not seeing your daughters except for Lara doesn't want you to have to pay more child support. Holy hell. I hope your ex sees this post and deduces that this is her family being discussed and nails you for it. You're the awe of the year to date. We were wanting to spend the time just bonding as a family of 3. But you're a family of 5. YTA. We were wanting to spend the time just bonding as a family of 3. That right there. YTA. You also just handed your ex the ammo to take you to court to revise custody. You are not a family of 3. You are a family of 5. And 9 years old is old enough to take care of a lot of basic needs with minimal supervision. You don't need your eyes on a 9-year-old 100% of the time like you would a younger child. It's entirely possible to get the 9-year-olds quickly settled with a meal or an activity and tend to your wife and baby. 9 years old is plenty old enough to remember that dad chose the new baby over me. That feeling is going to stick with them for years. And Lara should want to fix it because you fractured your family. Not because of the money. She's in awe for that too. YTA. Did you just call your daughters guests? YTA guests. Guests. These are not guests. They are your daughters. They are also part of your family. How you handled this emergency and didn't consider them family enough to have them there speaks volumes as to the type of father you are. Be better. Facepalm. Dude. You are such an awe that I can't even begin to tell you all the reasons. But here goes. 1. Those were your children that you were casually passing off to anyone who would take them. You can't duck your responsibility to them. 2. Don't you think your girls should have the ability to bond with their little brother too? 3. You are more worried about your child support payments than your children's welfare? 4. Your assumption that your girls refused to see you because they were parroting what they heard is so dismissive of their feelings. Good Lord. Arg! Exclamation mark. Exclamation mark. Exclamation mark. Exclamation mark. YTA. Hard. I hope she gets full custody. Emma's told me that any communication is to now go through the lawyer because she's fed up of dealing with me. Info. It sounds like you being an unreliable parent is a normal occurrence. What was the reason for the divorce? You have 3 children. It's not okay to not take care of the older ones just because you have a new baby. You let your children be passed around rather than stepping up and being a responsible parent. YTA. Lara and I had already decided that we didn't want any guests. Good grief. YTA. Your children aren't guests. They're your family. Take me to court to get full custody instead of 50-50. This is extremely telling. I'm guessing this isn't the first time you've chosen your new family over your children. Good move on your ex's part. Lara wants me to fix it. You mean, she wants you to convince your ex to let you continue neglecting your kids in favor of her and your new son so that her lifestyle isn't interrupted? Got it. Still ta. YTA. And I hope your ex gets full custody. BC. You don't deserve those kids. YTA. Good for your wife requiring a lawyer and getting full custody. Clearly you don't want to put the effort in to be a father. YTA. You don't stop being a father to your older kids when a new baby enters the world. You have shown your girls they are not important to you. Yes, YTA. Your ex was having a medical emergency and you refused to care for your own children. Your son being born isn't your first child, so I'm a little confused on why you would have stuck to that plan when your ex was in the hospital. Wouldn't this have been a great time for you? Your current wife and your daughters to bond with your new baby? YTA. I hope Emma wins full custody. You're a bad father. When she does go to court, the court won't recognize your son as your girls were here first. You have a responsibility to your children, and the court will tell you that you refused to take your children, and she will have plenty of witnesses that you refused, and others had to take care of them. You are pretty well screwed in that area. Also, you are not a family of 3, you are a family of 5. YTA. You going to send your son and your girls somewhere else when you have a 4th kid with whomever, and this is your girl's brother and they weren't included to bond with him? Why is that? Looks like you dumped the first family for the second. YTA. You want family time, but don't consider your daughters, your son's sisters, family? You left your children to be passed around from household to household during a medical emergency? You just forgot to video call your daughters after the birth of their brother? It sounds like the girls know exactly where they stand with you when they say you are focused on your son, your new family, and faced with losing custody of your children. Your big concern: you can't afford my child maintenance. YTA again. Just to make sure you know. 100% YTA. Your ex, the mother of your children, had to be in the hospital for probably more than a week, and you couldn't take care of your own daughters? This reeks of spiteful behavior, and doing it even during an emergency is beyond me. If you want custody, maybe you shouldn't treat your daughters as guests.
If you enjoyed this video, please check out our playlists full of similar content. AmITheAsshole is like doom scrolling for your ears. Please like, share, and subscribe.